Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's speech. I am Brandon Killalay, and this speech will be covering the cultural differences between French culture and American culture. I'm an American, so I know obviously a lot more about American culture than I do French culture. That's why I chose the culture of France as my main culture to compare with the United States. Another big factor in this decision was I spent some time in West Africa, and the local culture there was very influenced by French culture. All the people spoke French, and a lot of their little cultural tendencies were also French from the French culture of immigrants who moved there to tour around, and so there's a large French impact in that region. Now, if you follow along with the PowerPoint, the first couple of slides will go into American norms, values, and religions. Now, I decided to do these first because I knew more about them, I can relate to them more. So if you look on the very first slide, American norms are some of the things you might not even realize you're doing when you live every day in America. Some things you do as you walk around, such as hand signs, or the way you dress, or how you order your food. These are all little things you don't even really notice. However, it's something we do every day. So one example, for instance, is the way we dress. A lot of the big factors over in Europe is they all look very professional. The way they dress, they all look very clean cut and squared away. A lot of the people in America, we dress around whatever's comfortable. We'll wear athletic clothes out in public, we'll wear pajamas out in public, we'll go to Walmart in our pajamas and buy, milk, bread, and eggs without even caring about how we look because we don't really have that image or that self-pride in ourself. Another big thing is hand signs. We do a lot of non-verbal communication, such as thumbs ups and wavings and handshakes. These are all very big forms of communication we have in the United States that are not as common over in Europe. Obviously, our primary language here is English, but we have a lot of diverse cultures because America is very diverse in the population. And we also are very big on tipping our waiters. They don't earn a salary like they do over in different countries. Now, if you progress to the next slide, American values. This slide is going to cover more of what Americans believe or how we act or why we act the way we do. Americans are very patriotic, obviously, because we come from a history of coming from Europe and then fighting for American freedom. So in the military, we are very patriotic with military people, and where we live, especially in Fayetteville, is very military driven. So we're very patriotic in that sense because we appreciate the freedoms we earn from the military. And obviously, right now, with all the political movements going on, we're also very big on equality, and equality is a big push we've been working with women's rights and black rights, and even minorities in the United States, fighting for that equality amongst the United States. Another big thing too with the American culture is competition. We created based on the fight for independence from Great Britain because we wanted to do better, we wanted to have more freedom. So a lot of the things we do in our culture is competition based. And so moving from there, the next slide, you will see American religion. Obviously, with all the diverse cultures we have in America, we have a very broad, diverse religious background as well, primarily Christian Protestant, which came from the Catholic Church, which is kind of spread apart when we migrated out of Great Britain. Now we'll break into the French because this is what I know less about, had to do more research on. A lot of the French norms, if you think about French and what they come from, what we get from France, there's a very large art, clothing, and food industries in France, and all of them are also very established and well known. For instance, the Louvre, with the Mona Lisa and fancy expensive art pieces, are all located in France. And typically when they go out in public in France, they don't wear athletic clothes, they don't wear pajamas, they don't wear just run-of-the-mill clothing to go to the store. A lot of the stuff over there is very professional. You want to look very educated, you want to look like you're well off or very successful in life, for instance. So France is very focused on the way they look and how they carry themselves because of the fashion industry that was created there in France. Another big thing too is formal breakfast, formal dining. In the United States, typically breakfast is kind of hit or miss, either we do it or we don't. Over in France, breakfast is a big meal of the family. So before everyone starts their day, they always sit down, have a big family meal, and a big family breakfast at the table. Everyone's at the table, communication, laughter, and formal dining for breakfast even. Now if you go to the next slide, French values. Obviously, America is patriotic, and we get that, we come at that honestly. But however, the French are also very patriotic in their own country because of all the established art and fashion and food that comes from their country. They are a very, very rich, culturally rich country, and their society respects that. And so one of the things that they actually are offended by when Americans come over is we take advantage of everything. And so they get very upset when Americans come by because we don't respect their culture like they do. They're also very big in equality. They have the term égalité, which is it's just French for equality, but they all fight for equality over in France as well because they have some of the same issues we do here with different people coming and going and the fight for equality. Their religion is different, a little different than ours. Obviously, we have a lot more cultures in our country. However, in France, they are primarily Christian as well, with a much larger background of Muslim for religions. And there's another story about that too. When I was in France, or not when I was in France, when I was in Africa, pardon myself, a lot of the cultures there were all Islamic. However, they all spoke French. So there's a very large correlation between French citizens who have traveled around and the spread of Islam throughout the Middle East. Now, a lot of the main similarities between America and France obviously would be the patriarchy of the patrioticness of their countries towards their own countries. So how much they appreciate their culture, where they come from, their backgrounds, and they're also very big, firm believers in equality. Now that we have covered the similarities and differences, we go to the reference pages. If you have any questions on where I got my information, any one of my sources are very reputable. You can go read through all of them. And then if there are any questions, I can answer them now. And if not, thank you for attending, and I will see you later.